off all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv Gaming. So again, along with the Xel'Naga and Metalopolis, basically the standard map on ladder play, surviving all the seasons and in most of the North American tournaments at least. So Titan obviously feels comfortable on this one. I imagine Optical does as well. So we'll see both players in a comfort zone at the very start at least, until Titan or Optical start getting the Muta harass or the Hellion harass or whatever harassment will be coming in this matchup, as Optical is not going to want to allow Titan to macro up.
Yeah, right now we have Titan spawning as the yellow Zerg player at the 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, OpTicalRH spawning as the red Terran at the 9 o'clock position on Metalopolis. This will be a full cross spawn, so this will definitely help out Titan. Optical will have a lot more distance to try to make up and cover if he does want to go into medevac drop play. Also, the hatchery, that natural expansion hatchery, very far across the map. I imagine Titan should be able to set up an expansion up rather quickly. Now, based upon what we saw earlier from Optical, we may see another 2-base timing push, and if Titan did see the previous game against if he did see the previous game, then he will definitely have enough base defense, and we'll see how this game just opens up here on Metalopolis.
Well, not sure if he'll have enough defense. Titan in last week's Wednesday Night Starcraft had some choice words about 2-base timing attacks. I think he got a little bit frustrated by the Marine tank push out from the Kiwi clone Army Terran. So we'll see whether he over macros. I think Titan definitely one of those players wants to get on a lot of bases, wants to get his tech and upgrades up as well once he establishes those 3 bases. So we'll see whether he gets a little bit too greedy. I think a 2-base timing push could definitely work tanks Marines once again. If he does not have enough units out and he does not micro well, I think a little bit of missed micro in the last week's game, and he did go down, but look forward to some stronger play from here, and vVv Gaming definitely needs it, does not want Optical to take 2 games in a row here.
Yeah, Titan did go for an extractor pool, so he will have metabolic boosted lings rather quickly. Now, we'll see how he tries to build off of this, as Optical now is just going to simply come up the ramp with this SCV and gather all the scouting information that he needs. He's going to see the spawning pool, he's going to see the extractor, and I'm curious as to what Optical's or how Optical is going to respond to this. Normally, when you see an extractor pool like this, you know that a lot of early aggression could be coming in, perhaps even a Baneling bust. But then again, do you just try to build too many buildings, or do you try to just overproduce in terms of your army and slow down your economy, as we are now getting a bunker over here at the natural expansion?
Yeah, it looks like Titan poked in there and did not see the 2 racks. He did see the 1 gas, so he knows that it's going to be some sort of tech play, and the trouble with getting that pool down first, it's a little bit safer, you get speed a little bit faster, establish map control, is the fact that bunkers, engineering base, supply depots can be used to block this expansion. So now has to make these 4 Zerglings, and he hasn't made any more than he really wants, as we see this bunker being salvaged. Going to cost the Terran a little bit of minerals, but does delay Titan a few food. He's getting down a 22 hatch, so not too late, but he really wanted to get that down on 19 or 20 there. So he's going to have speed finish in just a moment. He's going to have map control firmly in place, and we see a factory and a reactor being prepared back in Optical space.
Yeah, also in Optical's base, you can see a command center has just been placed down next to the command center at the starting location. So he's expanding while getting these Hellions. Those Hellions going to cause a lot of problems for the Zerglings, as we see that there is currently no gas being harvested at all. So no roaches will be able to come in, and those Zerglings are not going to be able to really deal that much damage. Also, another issue, I'm not sure. No, he did not. Oh, he did stick his head up. He did see the reactor being built, and he knows that there are going to be double Hellions coming out to play to try to roast these Zerglings.
And he had another 6 Zerglings made, so we'll have 10 total, and he's going to have 2 Queens out as well. One of those Queens making its way to the low ground at the same time, placing a all-important creep tumor between the main and the natural. So I think once creep spreads a little bit here on the low ground with these Queens and the creep spread, Titan should be able to take on the Hellions coming out of this factory. 2 Hellions already, and the 3rd and 4th on the way. And you definitely want to wait for those 4 and then push out. And we'll see how Optical follows this up, whether he goes for a lot of Hellions or pushes out as soon as the 3rd and 4th finish here.
Yeah, we are sitting at 38 food compared to 32 right now, as the 4 Hellions are now finally making a move out, and we are now going into another barracks replacing the factory. So this may start opening up into standard tank play, marine tank play. We are getting stim pack now, as the 4 Hellions looking to just be the toast of the town, taking down that Zergling rather quickly, and now looking to perhaps shut down all of these drones mining here on the low ground. Zerglings now coming in, Hellions getting some damage here, but the Zerglings are going to be able to do a decent surround. And those Hellions getting completely caught out of position, and I don't maybe one worker was killed, but I don't think any was really lost in that engagement.
Definitely a great trade for Titan there. He wanted to bait those Hellions up the ramp, keeping the Zerglings up top there, trying to get a surround. But the Hellions made their way in, and the Zerglings and the Queen there able to get a nice surround. And if you can get a surround on Hellions, the way their attacks work, the Zerg are basically only one deep with those Zerglings around the Hellions. So you can't take down Zerglings very quick. You need to be on the move off of creep, kiting those Zerglings. As we see Titan getting a little bit of scouting information, he knows that his standard Marine tank play is coming in now, and he's actually has these Zerglings in a good position. The second orbital command not going to be able to land for Optical until he pushes out here, and Titan might have an opportunity to be aggressive with these Zerglings against the small numbers of Marines and tanks.
Yeah, in comes the Zerglings, but the Zerglings deciding not to stick around and play. The siege tech will be completed in just a moment, and as soon as that siege tank is in siege mode, it should be able to destroy anywhere from 2 to 4 Zerglings with one fail swoop of the Crucio shot cannon, and now the Zerglings running all the way home. At this time, I would expect Titan to try to establish up a third base, and it looks like he is doing exactly that, getting up a drone at the 4 o'clock high ground location, and now growing up to be a hatchery.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see Titan push in there and try to get us surround on the Marines and the one tank there. Stim had not finished, and neither had Siege Tech. And if you get Terran down to just a few units, if he was able to take down a lot of those Marines and a tank, it might have really delayed a push from Terran. Later on, those Zerglings, not all that important in an encounter, 10 Zerglings or so, not going to make a huge difference, but if you can delay a Terran, being able to feel like he has enough stuff to push out, as you see Optical now pushing out with a timing attack here, and Titan's going to have to try to defend it, try to get this third up, and this is a good timing from Optical. Siege Tech has finished, so has Stim, and he's going to try to shut down the third. Titan moving into position with a lot of roaches and Zerglings.
Yeah, we also see a research in or starting the infestation pit. We should be getting some fungal growth as well. But this timing attack, there's only 2 siege tanks. Normally, Terran players like to move out with 3 as they're able to cover each other much better. The stim pack has been completed. Combat shield still has a little bit more time to go as the creep tumor doing its job, a burrowed building that reveals the Marines, and now the siege tanks and the Marines are once again returning home. So not quite sure why Optical decided to return home in this engagement. He didn't like what he saw. Perhaps he felt something in the air, and now the Zerglings are going to see the majority of this army, and now Titan knows that he can once again just continue to power drone. Getting 7 more drones will quickly be at 58 drones.
Yeah, he's also getting up his 5th gas at that third base, and he had a lot of roaches there. I think they would have definitely been able to do a ton of damage against those Marines and tanks. So Optical is the right move to pull back, but he cannot afford to fall this far behind Titan. Titan, a very strong macro player. You have to pressure him. You have to find timings. It is 133 now to 100, so Titan and Optical racing to 200 here, and now it looks like Optical will be pushing out with the 4 tanks here, and all these Marines, as he talked about, wants to have a certain number of tanks. Already the good creep spread coming from Titan. Now he's going to try to engage here on the creep without these tanks being in siege mode. A lot of roaches coming in here trying to get a surround on these Marines, easily able to take them down, getting a nice spread. The siege tanks staying in siege tank mode, no siege mode for them. And now he has stimmed up. He's blown a lot of his units here against these early roaches. Roaches once again engaging, and a lot of damage being done, and just more and more roaches coming out for Titan. I do not like this situation for Optical.
Yeah, Optical overusing stim right now. Every time the units back off, Titan has just essentially did 10 damage to each Marine, and Optical just taking a lot of damage in that engagement. You can see there are Marines and tanks hiding off over here. Optical looking to perhaps set up his third base, but it will be a little bit of time as we are now getting a large number of roaches on the move. 8 more drones still being power droned by Titan as well. So he's going to have a very strong economy moving into what I will assume is the later portion or the late game now, as we already have up to 76 drones.
76 drones and almost 2,000 minerals per minute. And how many minerals does Titan have? He's got single or he's got double digit. He's got 100 minerals, now floating a little bit there. Titan not supporting my argument, but a great macro player, keeping those minerals so low. He is just macroing like a boss. It is 141 to 103, and you cannot let a Zerg player, especially one like Titan, get on now a fourth base establishing here. And I think this one might be over unless Titan really has a misstep.
Yeah, I think at this point it's going to be Titan's game to lose. Only he can lose by just pretty much forfeiting or doing some really, really outrageous play. There is one medevac in the air and a drop may be coming in. There is a spine crawler along the backside. The Zerglings are already getting in position. The Zerglings should probably, the Zerglings see the units landing. And are we going to get a fungal growth is the key question. Yeah, there we go. Finally getting a fungal growth. And the infested Terran should be able to shoot and finish down that medevac. Meanwhile, a group of Marines going to be able to shut down the 6 o'clock expansion, and it was not canceled. So a lot of damage dealt there. So nice drop play by OpTicalRH in order to try to equalize it, making sure that Titan didn't get up his third or his get even on bases by going up one more.
Yeah, this is what Optical needs to do. He needs to get cute. He needs to use these drops and do some damage. The main drop didn't do anything, but it opened up the taking down the fourth in the southern position. So Optical needs to get on a third base. He needs to continue to be aggressive, and Titan just trying to macro here 173 now, so he's almost 45 food ahead of his opponent. He's getting up a Spire. He's got a lot of infestors, and with these roaches and the infestors here, if he's able to get some key fungals on the Marines of Optical, he could just basically A-move into these units of Optical. As long as the siege tanks don't get good position, Optical once again pushing out here. He's got 4 medevacs, he's got 4 siege tanks, and a few Marauders coming. If you can stim up and try to focus down those infestors, Marauders can be quite good as well. Titan coming for the flank from the high ground and the low ground. The roaches making it there first, and great fungals going off on all those Marines. A lot of damage done to those. The Marines just melting under the force of those fungals. A lot of infested Terran going down as well, absorbing the siege tank fire as the roach is going to be finishing off these final units for Optical. It is 128 to 93. A lot of Zerglings coming out for Titan here to try to finish off these units, but Optical losing all of his tanks.
Yeah, so Optical losing all his tanks and now trying to move in once more. A hatchery going to delay Optical from coming up, and I most likely believe that Titan will cancel that at just the last moment, but the Zerglings now coming in, and in comes, there is, I could have sworn would like to have seen a fungal growth, but no fungal growth at all, as the infestors are now once again pushing their way out. A key thing to remember is that the Zerglings now have the level 1 armor upgrade, so that siege tanks need to in fact get 2 shots off in order to destroy a Zergling. And that really, really slows down how effective those siege tanks are against that Zergling swarm, as Optical now trying to regroup and regather.
Yeah, Titan actually did not have enough energy on most of those infestors. He did a nice job of keeping the infestors alive, even though he took down most of the forces of Optical. He pulled back with those infestors, and now he has a Destiny-esque 12 infestors. So these are just going to be gaining energy, becoming more and more powerful as the game goes on. These spellcasters, once they get 2 of their main spells, 2 fungal growth, can just be worth their weight in gold. And if you're able to keep them alive from encounter to encounter, as you throw away Zerglings and Roaches, which are relatively gas cheap and mineral cheap, you can be very economical. And not only does he own more bases, but at this point being more economical with his army. Titan pushing out with these Roaches, these infestors, hoping to do some damage.
Yeah, we can see the Marauders, Marines, and Medevacs now in the center portion of the map. We are going to get infestors making their way out, and a fungal growth going to be coming in. There's one fungal growth. Chain fungal growth is going to absolutely melt away that army. And the Terran player, OpTicalRH, in a bit of trouble, going to lose all of these medevacs as well, as Titan easily cleaning up this MMM.
Yeah, and I think this might have to be GG from Optical. I'm not sure he's going to have many units coming out, down to 80 food, 78 food to the 197 of Titan. Titan's macro just so strong, you cannot leave him to macro up. As we said before, in the last week's Wednesday Night Starcraft, he fell to a 2-base timing attack. You have to do something like that, because if you allow him to get on these 5 bases, on these 75 drones, he's just going to be able to rip you apart.
Yeah, we can see right now that the only reason Titan is currently sitting on about 4,000 resources is he's supply blocked at 200, and there's the GG by OpTicalRH.
Yeah, Titan keeping almost double-digit resources there as he was making his way into the 150 food range. So good with his injects, so good with his spending. His macro was just great. And Optical had a few opportunities there, but he did pull back at the very start. I think that was a good idea. Titan did have up those roaches. They're a little bit more hardy against the Marine siege tank early timing attack. But now we'll see whether Titan's able to finish off Wednesday Night StarCraft here as we move on to game 5, I believe.
Yeah, so game 5 with vV Gaming taking a 3-1 lead over Relentless Heroes.